Years ago, while I was appearing in a musical, I got asked if I wanted to invest in a musical, and it's something that I'd never heard of before. I don't know if you know this, but how musicals are put together. They're called theatrical angels. Lovely term, isn't it? Basically, money lenders, And the bottom line is the composer, the producer, the whole team put towards you and before you the plan of how they're going to put this musical on, how it's going to tour, hit the West End, Broadway, and become a mega musical. In your investment, you could make a hefty return. For instance, all those years ago, if you'd have invested, say, in Phantom of the Opera, Jesus Christ Superstar, Sunset Boulevard, not bad, as one can imagine. But of course, for all the winners, there's a lot of losers too. When you think about it, Titanic, the musical, didn't do particularly well. And of course, more recently, sadly, one of our greatest composers, Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber, has seen his latest production take a turn for the worst. But as ever, what truly went wrong? Hi, good morning. Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. Thank you also, by the way, for your lovely comments. I really am so grateful for your thanks and kindness and everything for continuing to watch the program. As I said, genuinely very moved, very touched that so many of you are taking to join. And all we're trying to do is bring you the stories directly as we find them, with impartiality. We might have a bit of fun, a bit of an aside. But the bottom line is, isn't it refreshing to get the news without all the frills and all the finding out the spokesperson is aligned to that company? As I say, I've been lucky enough to work with Andrew Lloyd Webber on a number of occasions. Lovely man, very talented, But one of these people, I can tell you, only feels truly comfortable behind a keyboard, whether it be a piano, Steinway, or indeed just an electronic keyboard. That's his natural home. And the difficult thing really for Andrew Lloyd Webber is he's obviously tried to branch out and become, shall we say, a little bit more impresario. We've seen him on reality TV shows and he's got a fun personality, but it doesn't always transcend to television. Well, recently he decided to put on a brand new version of a musical called Cinderella. It was beset by problems over here in the United Kingdom because it hit literally just at the time of the pandemic. And I have to say, Andrew Lloyd Webber did his very best, everything he could possibly do to try and get theatres open. But it was the wrong time, the wrong place, and seemingly the wrong musical. Sadly, it closed without fanfare very abruptly. But a couple of months back, he'd reopened on Broadway, this time with a new title called Bad Cinderella. Sad news is, it looks like Broadway doesn't think it's bad enough, because the bottom line is it's closing after only a matter of weeks. Now, it's fascinating to think, isn't it? Because recently Phantom of the Opera closed on Broadway, and as he pointed out, younger people were now rediscovering this wonderful brand, this wonderful musical. And he believes, of course, that if you give it time, things will develop. But he also pointed out that it costs around about $1 million a week to keep Phantom of the Opera open and on the road, as it were. Bad Cinderella didn't necessarily have those catchiest of songs, and nobody can truly remember much about the soundtrack. I'm not knocking him, I'm a big fan, as you can imagine. But it just shows how precarious the world of Broadway, West End, and theatre in general is. And as we've often said here on the show, it starts from the moment you book your ticket. So, well, I would have suggested that Bad Cinderella could have worked with a little bit of tweaking and perhaps some production insight. The bottom line, really, in my opinion, is it was pushed through social media and not necessarily the right vehicle at the right time for the right climate. And by that, I don't mean the green climate, but people really just want to have a fun story, not necessarily one with all the woke values and messages sublimely hidden up and dressed up in a world of musical theatre. If you've seen it, I'd love to know what you think to it. And if you haven't, maybe take a listen to the main song, which is on YouTube, and let me know what you think. We wish Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber all the very best because he's going through a terrible time right now with the loss of his son. Can't be easy, but he's a man that will bounce back and no doubt shine once again, bringing us, well, simply the very best of musical theatre. But seemingly for his dedicated fans, Bad Cinderella simply wasn't that. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.